Hey, on my Travel Ones podcast today, I'm blessed to have Jesse Iwuji. How are you today, Jesse?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Jesse is a NASCAR driver, and you're the only active Navy person. Is that the right term?
Yeah. So right now, I'm the only naval service member who's actively serving. I'm in the Navy Reserve, so I'm not active duty Navy. I'm in the Navy Reserve, so we're basically kind of like part-time Navy. Once a month, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, and we get mobilized every so often. But I'm doing that and racing in NASCAR. But the funny thing is, most of my NASCAR journey was actually while I was active duty in the Navy when I was on shore duty in Monterey, California.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got Laguna Seca, the track out there. I've been on that track a couple times now. I've actually raced some endurance races there in some little sports car leagues. But it was a pretty fun track, and I actually lived like probably about 7-8 minutes door to door to that track.
That's crazy because I go up there. I was just up there a couple weeks ago for my work. I have a lot of accounts in Salinas. And so when I go to Salinas, I stay there, and then I head over to that track, and I went up to Monterey and Carmel Valley and all that.
Yeah,
I was right there with you.
Beautiful area, especially during the summer and stuff. It's really nice, and just like kind of its own little just interesting place. I mean, it's crazy because the weather there is so much different from everywhere else that's nearby it. You go 30 minutes inland and it's like super dry and not much, and then you go to Monterey and it's green and beautiful and
foggy.
Foggy, yeah, it can get foggy. You definitely can get foggy, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's always, I always tell people outside of California, like, you saw Western stuff in California. Like, there's a lot of agricultural in between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all agricultural fields and then ranches and all that. And that's a crazy track. I haven't seen any races, but I went there when they were doing some test running, and some of the back turns and the downhills and all that. It's not, if you're thinking NASCAR, you're just going in a big oval, and they're going to say it's not like that. It's a road track, right?
Yeah, it's a road course, and they got a bunch of turns, different elevation changes and stuff like that. But even in NASCAR, I mean, we run some races on the road courses. So we run Sonoma, we run Watkins Glen. I ran at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park last year and also Sonoma. And at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, there's actually bigger elevation changes there than there is at Laguna Seca. So and faster ones, too. They're blind downhill corners that have a bigger drop than that one you see at the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. So it's really crazy. But I got to drive that track last year in the NASCAR, at that time, Camping World Truck Series. And it was definitely an experience. And also happy to be able to get through that race. And at the end of it, I was like, okay, I conquered the track. I beat it. I survived.
Well, how much is it being, obviously it's got to help being more familiar with the course. I mean, the first time you ever go to a track, like I congratulations on getting sponsored to go to Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah. So, going to the tracks, I use my simulator pretty much each week, a lot of days throughout the week to get ready to go to tracks, right? So I spend a lot of time on my simulator getting familiar with the track, getting familiar with the vehicle at the track, how it feels, how it turns, how it handles there, things to do, where are my lifting points, my braking points, where's my turn-in points, how should I drive the track, how do the tires feel after a certain amount of laps at that track, is it an abrasive track or whatever, so you learn all that stuff on the simulator, so that when you get to the track in real life, you kind of felt like you've been there a million times. And, it helps a lot. And, even with the upcoming race for Texas, I'll be practicing on my simulator all the way leading up so I can get a really good feel of the track and I can feel like I've been there before. And, so that when we get there and we get to ride around and have fun with our field tracks number 34 Chevrolet, it'll be a good time and I won't feel like, I'm behind the curve so much. So, that's kind of how we can prepare right there without actually going to the track.
When you're on the simulator, does it, like I was watching the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and how they were diving down underneath the lane there. I don't know, inside the turn. Does the simulator allow you to do that kind of stuff too?
the simulator allows you to do everything you can do in real life, everything. So you can practice doing that and get the feel of that, so that when you get to the track, you can actually do it and you know it's going to work. You can practice your pit stops on the simulator. That's like prior to me doing my first pit stop ever, which was last year at Daytona in the ARCA series. I had never done a pit stop in real life. I've never pulled up into a pit, for a live pit stop. I've done ones where everyone kind of comes in slowly together, stops, and then we do it. That's easy. But to do it as in you're coming in at 50, 60 miles per hour, that's another story. And I didn't get to do it for the first time in real life until Daytona, but I got a lot of practice on my simulator prior to that. So when I did it, it was flawless. And so far, cross the fingers, knock on wood, I haven't missed my pit box. I haven't, done any of that. The only issue I've had is at last race at Vegas, I had a speeding penalty on pit road because I came in way too hot. I knew I was going to have a speeding penalty without the speed I took in there, but I was like, as long as I just get this thing slowed down and I don't spin out on pit road, that'll be good. But, that happened, and that was interesting. I ended up losing a lot of laps because of that, because by the time we got done with the pit stop and I rolled out and I found out that I had a penalty, then I my mistake again, I slowly came back around and lost more time, lost more laps. We ended up probably losing 3 or 4 laps in that whole fiasco.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of set us back. So, still learning. So, this was a mistake on my part, and I'll fix it and not let it happen again, and, keep going from there.
Otherwise, you were running pretty strong.
Yeah, we're doing the best we could with what we had, So, with my team that I run for, Reaume Brothers Racing, small team. We're not big like the KBMs or the all those other teams. We don't have a big team. We don't have all those same resources. So with what we have, we just make the most of it, and we go out there. And our big thing is to go out there, maximize the capability of the equipment we're in, run clean, and be there at the finish of the race so that we can load the trailer up without it being balled up or anything
parts.
Like that. Yeah. So, and when you can do that, you can always learn and get better, and then you just save money on stupid stuff, like wrecks. So, and then we can continue to work on getting the vehicles faster and getting them better, and spending more time on getting the setups better and all that stuff. So, it's a growing process, but the biggest thing is just to go out there and know what we have, and not go out there and try to run over our heads. We know we have, and just go compete with the people that we are within our same kind of budget level and stuff like that, and try to outrun those guys, and then just run our own clean race, finish the race, and let's move on to the next and try to get better.
What's the hardest part for you so far with the traveling? You just found out, I think, yesterday or today that you're going to Texas.
Yeah. So the toughest part with the traveling sometimes might be just getting enough rest, So I used to be pretty good at being able to fall asleep on a plane, and some way, I don't know if it's because I just travel a lot more now, but I'm not as good anymore, and I end up waking up every 5 to 10 minutes, and that's not fun, especially when you have a red-eye flight, because a lot of these California flights we do end up being red-eye flights, because I'm trying my best to maximize my day so that I can last thing I want to do is be flying through the day and wasting my day away. So half the time I want to work all day, working on all the stuff I'm busy with, and then fly at night and try to sleep on there. But then, you're flying, 4 hours or so to the East Coast, 5 hours to the East Coast. And during that 3 hours. And then, you're wasting all that time, and then, or using up all the time, and it's hard to sleep sometimes just because, the planes aren't always the most comfortable.
No, I'm with you, man. When I've had trips back to Toronto, even Nashville, Tennessee for some of my work stuff, it sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you find the best. I've been flying a lot of Delta recently. Delta so far has been the best, airlines that I've ran with or flown with, and they're pretty comfortable. They always have the screens and the movie stuff, which is great. So if I want to watch some TV shows, because I don't get to watch TV at home because I do not watch TV at home. I get to do that on there, so that helps. So. I like traveling. I like going to new places, seeing new things, and just kind of staying on the run. It's better than being bored at home. So
I'm with you. I'm saying I think people that are out, I'm an outside sales rep, and I've had inside jobs, and I hated them.
Yeah.
I want to see different. I want to see that the world's actually out there doing things instead of just my cubicle.
Exactly. You want to be out there doing things. It keeps you alive and well. And yeah, sometimes it can be a little stressful. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain. Sometimes there's some things that can be a little annoying. But at the end of the day, I'd rather deal with all those ups and downs than just be having this steady, boring, like not going nowhere life.
I hear you. How have you been able to balance so far? The work balance, where you've got friends, you've got family, you've got a girlfriend, you've got all these things, but yet you've got this emerging NASCAR driving career. How do you handle that?
What I did was basically I just kind of got rid of my personal life, like for a lot of my personal life. So the only part of my personal life I really still have is, me and my girlfriend, and she just comes along for the journey, So she'll
so she travels
come
with
to
you?
a lot of, Yeah. She doesn't come to every race, but she comes to a lot of them. The ones she can at least get off of work for. So she comes and she reports like that, and then different weekends we go to different places. And then if I have an off weekend, then I try to do something that she wants to do. Like she likes to hike and do other stuff. So just do that. So I don't do a lot of extra stuff. For me, when I'm at home, like I'm working all day. Like I wake up at 5 something, 6 in the morning, and I work all the way until like 11 or so at night, maybe later depending on the day, and then sleep and then wake up and do it again. So I just kind of work all day. But and it seems crazy. Some people might look at it like, oh, you just work all day, you don't get to have fun or anything. And I was like, no, I actually do get to have fun. I just have to put in that kind of work so that I can have more fun than you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I try to tell people the same thing because they're like, I'll be out for a week straight and then 16 days here and then 8 days here, 5 days there. And I'm like, yeah, but when I come home, it's quality. I'm not just
Exactly. And that's what you got to do to achieve the life that you want. It's not going to come easy. You can't expect to give a $20 an hour effort in life and get millions of dollars. You got to give $1 million, a year kind of effort to get $1 million.
That is how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I found out over the years. What advice would you give other, I guess there's so few race car drivers in the world, but how, as far as getting out there and traveling and trying, you started, I think you should go back into drag racing personally, but you were pretty good with the Challenger races at the Mojave.
Yeah. So for me, my story getting into NASCAR is a lot different than most drivers. Most drivers, they start racing go-karts and all that stuff when they're like 5, 6 years old and work their way into Legends cars and then late models and then NASCAR K&N and so on, all the way up to trucks, Xfinities, and Cup Series and all that, right? So for me, I didn't do that because I didn't start racing when I was a kid. I was playing football when I was in middle school and then high school, and then got recruited to play football at the Naval Academy in college. Went to the Naval Academy, played football there for 4 years, and I did like cars, I did like racing, but I wasn't doing it yet, And then when I graduated from the Naval Academy in 2010, I became an officer in the Navy and was on ships. Went on 2 different deployments on 2 different ships over a 4-year period from 2010 to 2014 before I transitioned from sea duty to shore duty. When I went into shore duty in 2015, that's when I was on land, I was on shore, and I didn't have to deploy anymore. So then I had a lot more free time on the weekends. And that's around the time when, I decided that I wanted to pursue this professional racing career on the side, And just prior to that, kind of what got me even to there was because, in between my deployments and going underway with my ship, when we were back in San Diego, I would spend a lot of time going to different like drag strips and different road course tracks with my Challenger and my Corvette. And just having fun there, learning how to go fast, and going to some
really
low-level competitions. Yeah, going to this low-level competitions, but doing some fun stuff. And I, broke a few records. Like with my Challenger, I was at that time I think I was like a 4th person to ever go over 200 miles per hour with a Generation 3 Hemi. So that was a big deal because everyone else who had really tried before that blew up. And I think actually I was the first one to actually do it and not blow up in the same day. So the other people who did do it did blow up eventually.
Yeah.
For me, I drove my car to the track. It was like almost 900 horsepower. Drove it to the track, actually with the airstrip, ran 1 mile at 200 miles per hour, 200.9, and then drove home. And that was huge. And the funny thing is, till this day, the fastest I've ever been was 200. Even in NASCAR, I haven't even hit 200 yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
just that straight drag out in Mojave. It's a running start, right?
yeah, it's a rolling start, and it's not like a drag race where you're competing against someone. You're competing against not even the clock. You're competing against just the speed, the speed traps. So your goal is to in 1 mile to hit at the fastest speed you can possibly hit. And my first run, I did like 199. My second run, I hit 200. Third run, I hit 199. And I was like, I'm cool, I'm good. I hit my 200 mark, and that opened up a million doors for me, because that got me really popular on YouTube. And then, then on the Instagram and all that stuff, and my name started getting out there, and people started knowing about me. And then that's when people started pushing me to try to go pro in racing. And I don't even know why, because I'm like, I just went 200. That was it. I didn't like go win like some big amateur race or something like that. I just went fast. But people said that, hey, because you like this speed and stuff, you should try to go just professionally race. And they kept on pushing me, and then finally I was like, you know what? Let me go after it.
That's an awesome story. And I know you appreciate it. So, because like you said, most of the people that are racing have started when they were younger, and moved up the ranks and did all the go-karts and the dirt tracks and all that.
Exactly.
That's a cool story that you just put your mind to it and you made it happen. But something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You just got to put your mind to it. You have to make it happen. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy, but you just got to push through and keep going and just stay strong enough, long enough. And a lot of people get discouraged because they're like, oh, you need a lot of money, do it, and this and that. I didn't come from a rich family, so you just got to be resourceful, right? If racing requires a lot of cash or money to get started or to do whatever, and you don't have it, well, then you know what you need to do? You got to go find it,
Make it work.
If somebody, let's say you don't have any sponsors or any companies, any businesses that want to help you out, to get so they can get, exposure from it or something like that, then from there you got to go make some money yourself, either get a better job, start your own business or whatever. And for me, I was in the Navy, like active duty, so I couldn't switch jobs or anything like that. But what I could do was on the side of all that, I could start my own business, right? And I did that. So I started putting on drag racing events on the side, and I would do them like a few times a year, a few weekends a year. And the profit I made from that was what I used to actually subsidize my racing and my for a lot of the first 2 years that I raced. Actually, a lot of the first 3 years that I raced. Wow. Yeah. So that's what got me through. So a lot of people come to me and they're like, yeah, I want to race, but I don't have any money. I was like, well, I wanted to race too, and I didn't have money either, but I figured out a way, You got to figure it out. You got to grind. And if you're really willing to do it, you got to just think, use your mind, and be resourceful. Like we're all smart people. There's ways to make it happen. There's people who go from having nothing to having a lot, and they did it because they're just resourceful.
That is so true. I mean, you just blew my mind, because I feel the same way with a lot of stuff that I've been through, and I'm sure you're getting. Oh, you're so lucky, Jesse.
Yeah.
No one was calling me lucky 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. There's no luck in it. It's just like the luck part of it happens because you keep putting a lot of focused energy towards something, and then these opportunities eventually pop up. Like opportunities will not pop up unless you put a lot of focused energy towards something. And as you put that focused energy towards it, the opportunities will pop up. When they pop up, that's when people are like, oh, that was just lucky, or man, you're lucky. It's like, no, I'm not lucky. Like I had to keep on grinding and have faith, because I didn't see anything happening. Like I had to have faith that it was going to come and the opportunity was going to show up. And because I kept on doing everything I did, I put myself in front of the right people, and maybe it wasn't the first time, maybe it wasn't the second time, but eventually, someone saw this, and then this person helped me here, or this person connected me there, and this and that. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't go grind, even though I didn't have anything. You just have to go grind, and eventually you will get there. You have to stay strong enough, long enough. And we all start life in a certain place, right? Some of us start life with rich families, some of us start life with third world country families. You don't know where, and that's not something that you can pick. You can't choose. So we all start in different places, but that starting point does not limit you to where you can go in life. All it does is just it's it basically shows you that, hey, like, you're just going to have to work this much harder because you started here. Doesn't mean you can't get there. You just have to work harder.
At least in the industries I've been in, it seems like the ones that had it easy never made it all that successful.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that had struggle, I mean, you go to UFC fighters, because I used to train with a lot of fighters and all that. They all, none of them come from rich backgrounds for the most part. I'm trying to think, but they're all struggling, coming up, working hard.
Exactly. They're all struggling. They're all working hard. They're all grinding. They don't come from easy. Yeah. And if life was easy getting to where you're at, it's not going to be as sweet, and you're probably not going to understand what you really have, And some people do. Some people do come from an easier life, but then they understand because maybe their parents really worked hard to instill in them that, hey, even though you are kind of being given this, I want to make sure you understand exactly what you're getting and what I had to work for to get there. And that's on the parents, I think parents, it's great for parents to work themselves up and get to wherever they get to in life and be successful and this and that. But for the kids, like, don't make their life easy. Like, you got to teach them and make sure they understand how valuable it is and how you could easily lose everything. Once they understand that and they can pass it on to their kids, that's what keeps us strong. That's what keeps everything moving. But so many times, a lot of parents will be like, okay, I made it, and I'm just going to make my kids' life so easy. And then the kids
I don't want them to struggle.
Yeah, you don't want them to struggle. And you don't want them to go through all the same struggles, but at the same time too, you can't baby them. You gotta, let them get punched in the face a few times, let them eat it a few times, let them fall forward, but then teach them. I found an interview with Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he said that his dad was pretty rough on him. Mm-hmm. Did not baby him, obviously he had some, very fortunate to get the breaks that he got and this and that, but in the beginning, it was not he was not an easy dad. Oh yeah, he was pretty tough on him. I mean, he didn't let him race till later in life. Yeah. He was tough. He did, and it was good because it helped build him. And Dale understood what he had. He knew that, like, yes, I do have a lot of resources available to me, and available a lot sooner and easier, quicker than a lot of other people. But like, I have to still work for him, and I got to understand and appreciate him, and that's what his dad didn't, which made Dale who he is now. That's why, Dale's a really cool person. I've gotten to talk to him a lot of times, and he actually follows me on Instagram and Twitter now, which is awesome, and super cool and down to earth guy. But I think he's all that because his dad raised him the right way, and his dad knew that. Yeah, I know I got a lot of money. Yeah, I've done all this, but it wasn't easy, and I started off broker than a joke. So, I'm going to show you that this is what it takes to get to here, and I think Dale took that on, and that's why he's the way he is now, which is, just a pretty good. Well, just like you. I mean, your backstory, your parents are from Nigeria originally? Yeah, they're from Nigeria originally. They grew up and were raised there, and then they came to the U.S. and had me and my two brothers and my sister. And then raised up in Dallas, which is Dallas. Yeah, Dallas, Texas. We grew up there pretty much our whole lives, and we all played sports there. And we didn't start off with a lot. My parents, they were, when they came over from Nigeria to the U.S., they didn't have much, and we just kind of were grinding just to make things happen. My dad worked really hard. My mom worked really hard, and together they worked hard to provide us with a somewhat decent life. We weren't rich or anything, but we weren't living on the streets either. So, but that's because they worked super hard to make sure that wasn't the case, and they wanted to show us, like, hey, like, we can start with nothing and work really hard so that we can overcome this nothing, and that's what they did, and that showed us that, hey, like, we can do the same, and we learned from that, and we all eventually went off to go do great stuff. All of my siblings, we all went to college, we all played college sports on full-ride scholarships, we all graduated, and they're all working and doing great. And everyone's got to be proud of what you've done, Yeah, they being NASCAR. I mean, come on. Yeah, they're pretty happy. They think it's cool. They thought it was crazy at first, but they probably still think that. Yeah, they do. They know they know that, like, I'm always the different one in the way. Like, I went after different things than the rest of them, and they understood that, and they knew that, there's no way we're going to stop this guy. He's just going to go after what he wants. So let's just support him. Yeah.
fun, and it's worked out. Hey, man, I really, truly appreciate. What's the best way for people to follow and see what's going on with Jesse?
So people can head on head to my website to jesseiwuji.com. That's JESSEIWUJI.com. They can head there and see everything going on. They can see my social media stuff on there. I'm really easy to find on social media. Just type my name on social media and you'll find me on any platform. Also be sure to follow my sponsor for this upcoming Texas Motor Speedway race. So go follow Fuel Tracks, amazing company, amazing people based out of Houston, Texas. They do a really great job in the industry that they're at. They developed this really great hardware and software for fuel monitoring on ships. So they are the ones who are helping fight and combat fuel theft and piracy and things like that with fuel on ships out in the Western African area and also everywhere else around the world. They're on over 250 ships. They're setting the standard out there, and they jumped on board to sponsor me because they saw the fit. You know, I'm Nigerian. Yeah. They do a lot of business with Nigerians, and they're from
Navy.
Texas. They do stuff on ships. I've been on ships, and just overall, it's a great fit with the entrepreneur that the CEO is. We have really similar stories in life. So
that was cool. The Instagram story about showing the AK-47 bullets in the controller.
Yeah.
That was a great story as far as not, actually turning a complete negative into a positive.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, people talk about their dreams getting shot down. Literally, his dream got shot down. And they got through. He pushed through, and he didn't give up. And now they're doing amazing. They're on over 250 ships around the globe. And that's huge for them. And just to keep going and be growing the business and leading the way in the industry. That's huge. So they're helping save the companies a lot of money because fuel theft is on the decline because of their system. And, it's just overall it's a good thing for the merchant marines out there.
And I like what was said was, because it was shot, they realized if the pirates are that worried about it, then it's got to be good.
Exactly.
So a complete positive. So that's a great